After studying this module, you shall be able to understand basics of community work, understand the approaches of working with communities, evaluate the importance of community work in present scenario. Community has been a focus of social work practice since its inception. One of the hallmarks of social work is its recognition that people grow and mature in social context. Communities are one of the many social systems that touch people's lives and shape their individual and group identities. Infants first encounter their immediate family, then extended family and friends, and then the local community. As people grow and mature, they learn about form perception, of social structures and develop individual and group identities through associations that connect them to lifelong community experiences, as said by Newman in 2005. Communities come in an infinite number of size, shapes, and social arrangements, population compositions, and locations. Communities are composed of social relationships that form the basis of communal life. Shared perceptions and common interests of many members are the glue that bonds the community into a coherent unit. Moreover, these social relationships and shared perceptions transcend time, structure, and location. Some communities are rational in nature and based on shared beliefs, values, and interests. Such communities are not tied to a single location or physical structure. Community is the context and setting for social work at all levels of intervention. For social workers engaged in direct practice at micro level, it is critical that they understand the macro environment where their clients live and work, the resources available to them, and how community dynamics influence individual behavior. Community is also the target or vehicle for change where interventions are designed to address broader social problems that affect a large group of people, as Fallon opines in 2001. The approaches of working with communities as a medium through which community workers are looking at the ground realities. It serves as a reference for the work to be undertaken and gives a clearer understanding of what could be expected of community work. The academicians, practitioners, and educators of social work interchangeably use the term approaches or models in the community organization or community work texts. Looking at the approaches of community work, a number of authors, practitioners have proposed approaches and models for changing community systems. Each of these requires that the social worker assumes different professional roles, which require somewhat specialized professional skill sets. There is some overlap in the approaches or models. Some of them are presented here that have been widely used in social work practice. Number one, according to A. Murray G. Ross, 1955, he chose to use the term approach. He identified three main approaches to community organization or work. These are the journal content approach, the specific content approach, the process approach. The journal content approach. The focus of this approach is coordinated and orderly development of services in the community in a particular area of interest. Thus, the Welfare Council may seek to coordinate existing services, that is, relate present services and prevent overlapping, to extend present services and to initiate new services to meet welfare needs in the community. This approach incorporates mainly two sub-approaches: the strengthening of existing services and two, initiating new services. The primary goal of this approach is to create pressure for reform and development in a particular area of community life, such as a welfare field, and a secondary goal is development of an interested and informed group of citizens with conviction of the need for community movement in the welfare field. The second approach is the specific content approach. Here, an individual, an agency, or an organization becomes concerned about some needed reform in the community and launches a program to secure this reform. The focus of the group is a specific reform or objective. Usually, time is an important element, for the group seeks to secure this goal as quickly and simply as possible. The success of this process tends to be measured primarily in terms of degree to which the reform goal or objective is secured. Thus, this approach involves specific issue oriented organization of services. The third approach is the process approach. Here, the objective is not content, that is, facilities or services of some kind, but initiation and nourishment of a process in which all the people of the community are involved through their representatives in identifying and taking action in respect to their own problems. The emphasis is on the cooperative and collaborative work among the various groups in the community, be it functional or geographic, to the end that they may develop capacity to work together in dealing with problems which arise in their community. The four factors are more important in this approach. Number one, self-determination of community. Number two, indigenous plans. Number three, people's willingness to change. And number four, the community pace. Another author who has given the approaches is number two, Hanna and Robinson, 1994. They identified three basic models or approaches of community empowerment. These are traditional social change, direct action social change, transformative social change. First, traditional social change approach is based on the change flowing out of traditional electoral politics. The formal political party is central to this model. It is called traditional because the authors believe it signifies the status quo. That is, they believe interest group politics and political liberalism will yield little by way of benefits to marginalized social groups. While it is undeniable that increased participation of minorities and women in elected office is a positive step towards diminishing race and gender and caste discrimination, the critics have argued that electoral politics does not bring large number of people to a sense of their own power to effect change in their daily lives. The second approach is direct action social change approach, which is characterized by active resistance or protest in existing conditions. People may join together in temporary mass mobilizations during a broad based national crisis, such as happens in a civil rights or anti-war movements, or they may come together in a small scale movements that focus on the localized issues. Resistance and opposition are based on private values and interests that are openly articulated on a collective basis coupled with public action. The third approach is transformative social action approach. It is based on an adult model of learning which requires strict adherence to the rules of democracy. It is characterized by a small group orientation which emphasizes direct, self-directed learning, interpersonal bonds, linking personal oppression of social structure oppression, and a collective approach to group awareness, decision making, and social action. It believes people cannot act on their own unless they are aware of the conditions that affect them. Therefore, learning is a process of consciousness rising of social action. Rothman in 1995 identified three models of community organization or work for macro social work practice. Originally developed in 1970, Rothman's three models of community practice have probably been one of the most influential conceptualizations of macro social work practice. These are locality development, social planning, social action. Locality development model has bottom-up approach because it is self-help participatory model of change and based on the premise that for change to occur is necessary to include the broadest possible participation of community citizens. It places a great deal of emphasis on social determination and democratic process. Professionals cannot change the community for people. They must be do it themselves. Professionals can provide encouragement, support, expert knowledge and other resources. They can treat the members of the community with respect and dignity. They can work side by side with the residents to create the conditions that make change and empowerment possible. They can help the residents to develop knowledge, skills, self confidence needed to challenge the status quo. However, the people themselves must define the problem and develop a plan for dealing with it. In a sense, it is an extension of the group work model. Considerable attention is given to group dynamics and, in some cases, the process through which the community defines its problems and develops strategies to resolve them is more important than the change itself. That is, the process of getting people together to discuss their common concerns and to plan for resolving specific problems is critical for effective community development. This model places greater emphasis on such things such as consensus, cooperation, democratic process, participation, and self help. The second model by Rothman is social planning model. It is in some ways the opposite of locality development model. It is a top down model of community change and emphasizes on technical aspects of solving problems. It assumes that most social problems, especially in the large industrial societies, are too complex for average citizens to understand. Therefore, professionals who have specialized expertise must guide the and control the change process with the use of technical skills. Participation on the part of the citizens can vary greatly, but this model often provides little opportunity for citizens' input into the planning process. Some have characterized it as elitist model of social change. When we talk about social planning, it's worth distinguishing between social planning and physical planning. Social planning is concerned with the provision of goods and services to the members of the community. Physical planning is concerned with land use management, zoning ordinances, and the structure of physical facilities. They are generally treated as separate and distinct. However, they are closely related. The way we plan and structure our physical environment can have a tremendous impact on our social environment. Two important contemporary constraints impacting this mode, according to Rothman, are planning becomes highly interactive and diverse interest groups rightfully go into defining the goals and seeing the community agenda. And second, impact of reduced governmental spending on social programs due to economic constraints, leading to a lower reliance on the elaborate data driven planning approach. The third model given by Rothman is social action. The social action model assumes that one segment of community is being overlooked or bypassed. The focus of this model is on organizing segments of the community to stand up for their rights, to demand that their needs and concerns be addressed. The emphasis is on bringing about basic change in major social institutions and community practices and decision making processes in the community. This is an inside out model because it starts with the committed core of people who work to develop a collective consciousness among all people who are affected by the conditions. It is a model which tries to challenge the status quo through a wide range of disruptive, confrontational, and often conflictive tactics. It brings issues of social justice, equity, oppression, and discrimination to the forefront of the community's consciousness. Checkaway 1995 identifies 6 distinct approaches of community change: mass mobilization, social action, citizen participation, public advocacy, popular education, social service development. The first, mass mobilization, seeks to bring about change in organizing and massing large number of individuals around issues. It assumes that visible public action can generate power and compel concessions from targets. From this perspective, the issue is the critical focus of the change effort. Therefore, issue selection is very important. Issues must be selected that will appeal to the large number of people. This strategy is often used as a response to the existing conditions, but rather as an independent force for change. The second is social action. The goal of social action is to build powerful organization at the community level in order to bring improvements in people's lives, make people more aware of their own power, and alter the existing power relationships in the community. It is similar to the social action model given by Rothman and direct action model by Hannah Robinson. The third is citizen participation, which tries to involve citizens in the policy planning and program implementation undertaken by government agencies. This strategy takes seriously the statement government by people for the people. It assumes that government and the agencies of the government should involve them in matters that affect them. It is based on the premise that participation has significant benefits both for government and citizens. The fourth model is public advocacy is the process of representing the interests of constituents and interest groups in legislative, administrative, and other established institutional arenas. The foundation of this model is the belief that all groups within the community should have representation regardless of their wealth and power. The popular education aims to create change by raising critical consciousness among common human needs. It assumes that people are able to participate but are temporarily unwilling to do so because they lack competence, confidence, and a common consciousness. Popular education is a form of praxis in which people reflect critically on their objective reality and act on the reflection of to transform the world. Transformation can and will not occur unless people's levels of consciousness is raised regarding the problems they confront. Paulo Freire used this method in squatters' settlements in Brazil. The sixth model, local service development, is a process by which people provide their own services at a community level. It assumes that problems in communities have local solutions and that residents can take local initiatives to help themselves. It is not a form of outside advocacy for local groups, public advocacy, nor a mandated participation in plans originating someplace else, citizen participation. H.Y. Siddiqui in 1997 suggested three models or approaches for community work. They are neighborhood development model, system change model, and structural change model. Neighborhood development model, the common assumption of this model is that people living in a community, that is neighborhood, have a basic and inherent capacity of meeting their needs, problems through their own initiative and resources. The emphasis is to encourage thinking on the part of people themselves, to adopt progressive attitudes rather than doing things for them or helping. The experience of community work in India has shown that a complete withdrawal of workers or the agency in neighborhood model is not possible, and it requires long-term involvement in the part of worker or agency. The specific steps involved in this model are identification, local and dramatization of the physical area, then entry into the community leading to identification of the needs of different sections in the community, then program planning, then resource planning, then developing an organizational network in the community, and last but not the least, partial withdrawal with the time frame. The second model is system change model. There exist various arrangements in society that cater to the basic needs of education, health, housing, employment, etc. These are the independent systems and comprised of subject systems. The ultimate aim of the existence of these systems is social production and social consumption. These systems may be dysfunctional because of various factors, The system either may become dysfunctional because what it is producing is not relevant for people, or because many people do not have access to what is being produced. To tackle this, first the system and its subsystem need to be understood in order to arrive at a useful framework for understanding what one finds at the grassroots level. The specific tasks associated with this model are collecting relevant facts about the specific deficiencies in the system, sharing of the finding within the community or the communities, selecting the appropriate strategy to influence decision making bodies or to focus attention on the issue, mobilizing community and outside support to put the plan into action. Last but not the least, developing an organization in the community and linking it to similar organization in other communities and other agencies, which can help them in demanding change. The structural change model. This model visualizes the community as a small cell within the larger body of society and the relationship between different sections of the population. In the structural change model, the worker analyzes the link between the macro structuring of social relationships and the macro reality. The problem of unemployment in the community or lack of access to large sections of people to education or health facilities or credit other resources is the example. The worker tries to mobilize the community to participate in the radical alteration of the macro structure, which will impact the macro reality. The specific tasks involved in the model are to develop an understanding of the link between macro and micro social realities, to make a conscious decision about the alternative political ideology, to share this understanding with the community and to enable them to make their own decisions, to help the community identify a plan of action to pursue its goals by locating specific issues and consequent social action to launch a long struggle, to help the community sustain its interest, enthusiasm, and capacity to meet the strain which is likely to arise out of an inevitable conflict with the existing power structures or the structure. Peter Drever, 1996, provided a typology for community empowerment strategies and identified the following alternative directions or approaches. These are community organizing, which where mobilizing people to fight common problems and to increase their voice and decisions that affect their lives and communities. Second is community based development, that is neighborhood based efforts to improve a locality's physical and financial condition, such as new construction of roads and other infrastructures, etc. Community based service and provision involves neighborhood level efforts to deliver social services, including childcare, vocational training, maternal and health care, etc. And it is called building human capital. Robert Fisher in 1994 identified three approaches to neighborhood organizing. They are social work approach, political activist approach, the neighborhood maintenance approach. The first social work approach says that society is a social organism and all efforts are oriented towards building a sense of community. The community organizer plays a role of enabler, an advocate, a planner, and a coordinator who helps the community to identify a problem in the neighborhood, attempts to procure the requisite resources by gathering the existing social services and by lobbying with those in power to meet the needs of neighborhood like social settlement movement in US. The political activist approach. This approach used militant confrontation and heavy pressure on the power institutions of the society. Power sharing is a major goal for this approach. This method is based on advocacy, conflict, and negotiation and is used by mass based organizations such as those initiated by Saul Alinsky, who is also considered to be the founder of this approach. The third approach is the neighborhood maintenance approach. This approach arose out of both the previous approaches, The method used here is peer group pressure, which is a civic association, neighborhood association. In the initial phase, peer group pressure may be used to convince the officials to deliver services to the community, but later it could assume the form of the political activists' approach as they realize that goals can only be achieved through confrontation. Sololinsky in 1945 presented two distinct approaches or traditions to neighborhood organizing. According to him, social change and community organization could be either primarily reformist or revolutionary, depending on how fundamental the changes are which are sought. Social action mobilization tradition. This is based on the assumption that pressure will make those in power comply with the demands that are made and contacting people and encouraging them to become socially and politically active. Social mobilization efforts are also labeled as campaigns, as they utilize collective power to create change. Second, social production tradition. In this tradition, the strategic goal is to acquire services, material goods, and resources for the people in need and helping those in need with the problems they face. In order to achieve the core goal of acquiring goods, services for the target groups, or to attempt redistribution of resources, benefits, supporters of this tradition are more likely to work with those in power. People are encouraged to learn to participate in the political system and to manage relationships with agencies that provide services. The social production initiative are usually labeled as projects, as they are primarily endeavors to create services that benefit those in need. A number of writers and practitioners of community organization or work have forwarded a number of approaches or models and strategies for community work, varying between the more conservative and traditional models based on consensus and the more radical and transformative approaches or models and strategies. These provide us with alternative options of engaging the community system for collective action. Having understood and analyzed these, you will become clear about the application of specific models or approaches in working with communities.